So walk me through this book and how much, I guess, Caitlin Clark's, was there any cooperation, any reach out to her at all, Christine, for this book?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. She
Great.
answered 40 to 50 questions
Awesome.
that I asked her. Yeah, she's great. She's better in person than you'd hope. Yeah, what happened was right around the time, actually, you and I spoke, which was the Olympic snub, which,
Yes.
by the way, is a chapter title in the book. And I have even more reporting on that abysmal decision. And I continue to report it. So there's breaking news within the book on that chapter alone, as well as
Christine Brennan just delivered a scathing takedown of the WNBA's top brass during her appearance on The Rich Eisen Show, while promoting her explosive new book on Caitlin Clark. With surgical precision, she called out the league for mishandling what should have been a once-in-a-generation opportunity. No filters. No soft landing. According to Brennan, the WNBA had gold in its hands and dropped it. Her words didn't just sting, they are echoing across sports media, forcing everyone to take notice. So now the question is, was Christine Brennan too ruthless in her critique, or did she finally say what no one else dared to? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started.
But within a few weeks, I was, just early July thinking, gosh, should I maybe do a book on this? I hadn't written a book in a long time, and this has become my 8th book, 4th with Scribner. Literally 54 weeks ago, there was no book. And now we're number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. So, it shows what it shows, Rich, is the incredible power, appeal.
Christine Brennan just appeared on The Rich Eisen Show to discuss her new book on Caitlin Clark, and she didn't hold back. In fact, she lit into the WNBA with a kind of honest, blistering critique that's bound to rattle some cages. This wasn't a hot take from a random blogger or an internet personality fishing for clicks. This was Christine Brennan, a veteran USA Today columnist with over 4 decades of credibility in sports journalism. She's been championing women's athletics long before it was popular, standing in the trenches when few dared to speak up for female athletes. And now, with Caitlin Clark at the center of the sports world, Brennan is calling out the league for fumbling what she sees as the greatest opportunity they've ever had. Her words carry weight, and the league better be listening.
I've been caught dead watching women's basketball when I would be on radio shows, or you and I might be talking at various things. Guys would laugh like, "You're not covering the women's Final Four, are you? Like, why would you go to the women's Olympic gold medal game at all the Olympics I cover? What a waste of time. It's not good basketball. It's below the rim. They're rolling around on the floor. It's jump balls." These are the things I heard I was laughed at as I would advocate the coverage of women's basketball, among all the other things that I've been able to do, men's and women's, right? Sports. And honest to goodness, to see now those guys that would have been calling into sports talk shows around the country laughing, they're the guys now buying the number 22 jerseys. They're wearing them not only to games, but to the grocery store and the gas station. They are Caitlin Clark's biggest fans, and they are the reason that these TV ratings are through the...
People often laughed at Brennan whenever she spoke up about covering women's basketball. She's always supported both men's and women's sports, but time and time again, she heard the same dismissive comments, that women's basketball is below the rim and not real basketball. So when someone like her starts criticizing how the WNBA is handling its biggest star, you shouldn't ignore it. On The Rich Eisen Show, Brennan shared some shocking numbers. She pointed out that last year, the Indiana Fever had a higher average home attendance than 5 NBA teams. Just think about that. A WNBA team outdrew several NBA franchises, all because of one player, Caitlin Clark. And here's the most surprising part. The same people who used to mock women's basketball are now proudly wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys and calling themselves her biggest fans. These are the same fans driving TV ratings to all-time highs. If the WNBA still fails to recognize this opportunity, it won't just hurt Caitlin, it could seriously damage the entire league.
Your first year of Caitlin Clark was higher than the average home attendance of 5 NBA teams. I cannot even believe I said that sentence, and I researched it, and it's in On Her Game. Point being, this has absolutely been a sea change, the likes of which I did not envision seeing in my career. That's how big a deal, and I chronicled the whole thing, and Caitlin answered every question, tough questions, looked you in the eye, goes on and on with answers, goes off on a tangent, comes back and finishes the answer. I mean, she's...
This marks a complete cultural shift, one that the WNBA simply wasn't ready for. For decades, women's basketball struggled to gain mainstream acceptance, especially among male sports fans. Then Caitlin Clark came along, and suddenly, the same guys who would never watch a women's game became her biggest fans. That kind of transformation is unheard of in the history of women's professional sports. But instead of embracing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the WNBA seemed to push against it. In her book, Brennan reveals how completely unprepared the league was for the wave of attention Clark brought from college. During a call with a WNBA official, Brennan noticed something strange. She didn't hear joy or excitement in their voice. What she heard was anxiety and confusion, uncertainty about how to handle this sudden popularity. Just think about that. A league that struggled for relevance and money for nearly 30 years finally gets a player who can change everything, and instead of being thrilled, they are worried. It's like winning the lottery and stressing out because now you have too much money.
Likes Caitlin Clark. She gets it. At least I thought she got it. But when she did that, I mean, Shelton and Caitlin go back a long way because of Iowa and Ohio State through the Big Ten. And so, there's chippy play. And Caitlin Clark does not need me or you or anyone to defend her. Oh, she's not a victim. She gives it as good as she takes it. She's tough. She's strong. She's revving up the crowd. She loves it. And people love her for that. But when Marina Mabrey plowed into Caitlin Clark like a freight train, if that did not injure Caitlin Clark, as far as we know, although now she's had these 4 injuries, and the last time she missed a game was sophomore year of high school. So bizarre, absolutely bizarre what's happening. And so obviously disheartening for Caitlin Clark and so many of her fans. But when Marina Mabrey does that, you know who she's hurting at the end of the day? She's hurting Marina Mabrey and her earning potential. Because when Caitlin Clark is injured, the first time she was injured this year, Rich, she would miss 5 games. During those 5 games when she disappeared, more than half of the viewership of the WNBA, not just the Fever, but the WNBA, more than half of the viewership also disappeared. That is falling off.
The kind of attendance and viewership numbers Caitlin Clark brings in are unlike anything the WNBA has ever experienced. But here's the alarming part for the league. When Clark gets injured, those numbers drop almost immediately. As Brennan pointed out, during the games Clark missed earlier this season, more than half of the WNBA's viewers disappeared with her.
When he would be out of a major tournament or missing something, it would drop a little. Michael Jordan, when he went to baseball, dropped a little. Others over the years. Over half of your TV audience just disappears. That is devastating to the WNBA and to its financial future, and all those players with the CBA now up and they're having these negotiations. They need to realize sooner than later, not that you treat her like kid gloves, but that Caitlin is to them even more important than Tiger was to men's golf. Because men's golf had already had Arnie Jack, Byron Nelson, Sam Snead, going all the way back to Bobby Jones. It already had the commercials. And this
Clark has completely changed the landscape of women's basketball, bringing in attendance and viewership numbers the WNBA has never seen before. But here's the alarming truth. When she's not playing, those numbers disappear almost instantly. According to Christine Brennan, when Clark missed a few games earlier this season, over half the WNBA's viewers vanished along with her. The financial implications of that are massive. Every game Clark misses costs the league millions, lost ad revenue, lower ticket sales, and a drop in merchandise. Yet, instead of protecting their biggest asset, some players appear more interested in proving points on the court than safeguarding the golden goose. Brennan compares Clark's impact to Tiger Woods, except unlike golf, which was already a well-established, commercially successful sport before Tiger came along, the WNBA has never had that foundation. It spent decades fighting for scraps of attention and revenue. Clark isn't just elevating an already successful league, she's building mainstream relevance from the ground up. And with that comes an enormous responsibility, one the WNBA seems largely unprepared to handle. Brennan highlights how the league reacted not with excitement, but with anxiety. She recalls a call with a WNBA official, where instead of hearing joy about Clark's rise, she heard fear, uncertainty about how to deal with this sudden surge in attention. Think about how backward that is. A league that has struggled for nearly 30 years finally finds a player who can solve both its financial and cultural problems, and their first instinct is caution. It's like winning the lottery and complaining about the paperwork. Then there's the issue of race and identity, which Brennan doesn't shy away from. Clark, a white, straight woman, entered a league that's
significant
74% black with a
LGBTQ+
large
population.
LGBTQ+ presence.
That dynamic was
That
always
cultural
going to create
contrast
some
created tension,
but the league should
and the
have been prepared to
WNBA
manage
should have
it.
been ready to manage
Instead,
it.
you had
Instead,
situations
veteran
like
players made
making
dismissive comments about
comments
Clark's impact.
about Clark's impact.
Some took cheap
Current
shots on the
players
court.
taking cheap shots,
Others acted like
and a
Clark
general
needed
sense
to
that
earn her
Clark
place
needed to
before
pay
being
her
fully
dues
accepted.
before being
Normally,
accepted.
that might be standard
That
rookie
might be
treatment.
normal rookie
But when
treatment
that
in most
rookie is responsible for doubling your
But when that
ratings and
rookie is
selling out
responsible
arenas,
for doubling
maybe
your
it's time to
television
rethink the playbook.
Maybe you adjust
The
your
most
approach.
glaring example of
The
institutional
Olympic snub
failure
that
was
Brennan
Clark being
covers
left off the
extensively
Olympic
in her
team,
book is
a
another
decision Brennan
perfect
dives
example
deep into
of
in
how
her book.
institutions
Leaving
failed
out
to
the one
recognize
player
Clark's
driving
unique
historic
value.
interest in women's basketball
Brennan
shows
has
just how out of
even
touch
more
decision
reporting on
makers
that
were.
abysmal
And
decision
what's most
and
frustrating
continues
is
to
that the
investigate.
solutions were obvious.
The
Clark's
fact that the
popularity
player
wasn't
driving
some mystery.
unprecedented
It
interest
came
in
from her
women's
dynamic
basketball
playing
was left
style,
off the Olympic
her
team
record-breaking college
shows how
career,
disconnected
and her ability to
decision-makers
connect
were
with
from the
fans.
reality of
The league
Clark's
could have
impact.
built everything around
What's
that:
particularly
marketing
frustrating about
campaigns,
all of this is that
media
the solutions
stories,
were
and a
obvious
rising
if
tide to
anyone
lift
had
all
been paying
players.
attention.
But instead, they
Clark's
seem to treat her
popularity wasn't some
popularity like a
mysterious
problem to
phenomenon.
manage, not a
It was
gift to
clearly
celebrate.
tied to her playing
It's
style,
like being
her
handed a
college
winning lottery
success,
ticket and
and her
complaining
ability
about
to
going
connect
to the
with
bank.
fans.
Brennan compares
The league
Clark's
could have
cultural
built
impact to
marketing
Tiger
campaigns
Woods
around
again.
that,
People who
created
never watched
storylines
women's
that
basketball
embraced
are
the
now
attention
tuning in for her.
and positioned
But
other
unlike
players
golf,
to benefit
which
from
had
the
infrastructure
spotlight.
and respect in place,
Instead,
the
they seemed to
WNBA was
actively
starving for
resist
this
the
kind of
attention
breakthrough.
and treat Clark's
And yet,
popularity as
instead of
something to be
meeting the moment,
managed rather than
the league
celebrated.
pushed back.
It's
Even
like being
worse,
handed a
when
winning
Brennan did
lottery
her job
ticket
as a
and
journalist,
complaining about having
asking
to go to the
legitimate
bank to
questions
cash
about
it.
whether a hit on Clark was
The
intentional
comparison
during the
Brennan
Dijon
makes
Carrington
between Clark
incident,
and other
the
transformative
WNBA
athletes
Players
is
Association
illuminating.
called for her media
She
credentials to be
describes
revoked.
Clark as
That's not
very
how
similar to
professional
Tiger
sports
Woods with
operate.
golf, right?
In every
Where
major
people who
league,
would never
tough
watch the
questions
sport
come with
now
the
tune in
territory.
to see her.
The WNBA trying
But
to
unlike
silence a
golf,
respected
which
journalist
was
like
already
Brennan,
commercially
who has spent
successful when
decades
Tiger
advocating
arrived,
for female
the
athletes,
WNBA
shows how
desperately
unready
needed this
they
kind
are
of
for big
breakthrough.
league scrutiny.
The
As
media
Jake Tapper
coverage
said,
aspect that
if
Brennan
you're going to
discusses
attack
is
someone who's spent
particularly
40 years
interesting.
fighting for women's sports,
talks about
you'd
how
better get
guys
your
who
facts
used to
straight.
laugh at
Meanwhile,
women's basketball
Caitlin Clark
coverage
has carried
are now the
herself
most
with class through
engaged
every
fans.
controversy. She's
That
taken
represents a
cheap
fundamental
shots,
shift
been
in how
excluded
women's
from Team
sports are
USA,
perceived in
and faced a
mainstream
barrage
culture.
of criticism.
But the
And yet
league's
she's
response
continued
to
to perform,
increased media
lead,
attention has
and
been
represent the league
problematic.
with grace. As
Instead
her
of
former
embracing the
teammate Kate
scrutiny
Martin
and
said,
using it to promote
she'd
the
never
sport,
say a bad word
they've
about
often been
anyone
defensive
and never make
hostile.
excuses.
The whole
That's the
Dijon
kind of
Carrington
ambassador
controversy
women's
that Brennan was
basketball
involved
dreams
in
of.
is a
And the
perfect example.
WNBA has mostly
When
failed to
Brennan
support
asked
her.
legitimate
Clark's
journalistic
window of peak
questions about
influence
whether
won't
a hit
last
on
forever.
Clark was
If the
intentional,
league keeps treating
the
her as a
WNBA
threat to
Players
manage rather than a
Association
gift to
posted a
embrace,
lengthy
they
statement
risk losing
calling
everything
for her
she's
media
built.
credentials to be
Brennan's book
revoked.
and her public comments
This
serve
kind
as a
of
loud
response
wake-up
shows a
call.
fundamental
The
misunderstanding
WNBA has
of how
finally been
professional
handed
sports
mainstream
work.
relevance. It's
In
time they
every
learn
other
how to
major
handle
league,
it before it all
players
slips
expect to
away.
be asked tough
Because if
questions
they
about
lose Clark's
controversial
momentum,
plays.
they may not get
That's
another
part of
chance.
being a professional
Brennan's
athlete.
reporting lays it out plainly.
The fact that the
The numbers don't
WNBA
lie,
Players
and neither does
Association
she.
tried to